Opening statement is this one's pretty simple. We didn't play good. All right. Anytime you turn the ball over 27 times, you just give too much to the opposing team on the road. The energy from the crowd got behind them. They were attacking us in transition. Never felt like we could, set our defense. But all credit to Georgia. The style of play that they play, they take you out of your sets. This is a game that you got to make plays, and you got to be strong with the ball. And unfortunately, you know what? We weren't strong with it. But you know what? Here's the best part. We got an off week this week, and our practices are going to be intense, and they're going to be turned up because obviously this is not acceptable. There's a room full of people in that locker room that know that, but talk is cheap, and we got to put in the work. So with that being said, ready for any questions?
Robbie, go ahead.
Hey, Sam. Y'all had that 3-game winning streak, had a lot of momentum, and the last 2 ball games, y'all got behind by double digits and were not able to get back to single digits the rest of the game. And what do you think has been the issue the last 2 weeks, or the last 2 games, rather?
You know what? This one surprised me. My kids were ready. I mean, they were in the locker room. I thought the juju was good. We addressed it about the slow start, and we talked about we got to get our mojo back. But this week, that mojo's got to be on the defensive end. Our problem right now, we keep talking about is climb the mountain. When we score and we're playing well on the offensive end, we're an elite team. We play really great basketball, but when we don't score, we got to stay tough. And we got to bend, but we don't break. And tonight, obviously, Georgia is a really, really good defensive team. Katie, I think, led the nation last year in points allowed. They make it ugly. They run a real matchup zone for 40 minutes and never play man. And you know what? We just didn't make the right cuts. When we got down early, we got emotional. And then when we get emotional, we don't move. And that's not a good look for us in order to win. And it's going to be a hard film session, but most importantly, it's going to be a hard week in the practice court this week.
Stefan, go ahead.
Yeah, Sam, kind of a two-parter, especially there in the first quarter with the slow start you guys had. It seems like you guys were turning the ball over a ton and, kind of adversely was leading lots of transition for Georgia, I guess. How much did you think, that played a part into the slow start you guys had? And why was Georgia kind of able to capitalize the way they did?
Yeah, well, I mean, first, you can't go 2 for 15 from the three-point line against a matchup zone. You got to space them out. And then obviously, in times when we couldn't score, we throw it inside. They did a phenomenal job of smashing and double teaming Jessica and making it rough there in that first quarter where we couldn't just get an easy basket. One, just to catch our breath and say, okay. And then from there, when we try to make runs, we talked about getting it down to 12 or 10 by half.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. But no, I mean, when we needed an easy one, obviously Jessica Carter's been our answer all year. But they had, in that matchup, they're able to do multiple things and play great scout report defense. I thought they did that tonight, and they made it ugly. And I told my team, you had to come in here. We got back late from Ole Miss, 1 o'clock. You had a small light workout on Friday because, the kids had to go to school. Saturday, it's an early practice, and you fly here. So I told them, we got to be tough, and you got to be willing to win ugly. I told them, you got to have a mindset that I think this game's going to be 56-50. But obviously our lack of offense allowed them easy transition offense, and that was the difference in the score and the separation.
Robbie, go ahead.
Coach, what do you kind of make of your offense right now? It seemed like a lot of those turnovers were unforced, players maybe not on the same page on the passing lanes and stuff like that. I mean, what's your thoughts on where y'all are offensively?
Well, I think you got to look at it at 2 different games. Georgia and Ole Miss are way different. Ole Miss is all-out denial. Georgia does an unbelievable job in the matchup. So offensively, you can't say, this game we did this and we didn't carry it over. They force you to play a different style. They take you out of sets. It's more about read and react, and you got to make plays. And so tonight, this one's, it's hard. But we didn't just make enough plays, and then the turnovers obviously made us emotional, and you got to fight. And we fought. I thought there were several times on some loose balls, 50-50s. We're diving. We don't come up with some tough shots on layups that are easy that we just miss. And when it was ugly, unfortunately for us.
Colin, go ahead.
You get these moments kind of it seems like it's been a little bit of a trend where, in the last 2 games, you see it in the first quarter where the other team is able to score a lot in bunches. But what do you work on to try and address something like that when that keeps happening?
Honestly, I don't look at it that way. Like I said, I mean, we talked about when coming up here how tough we needed to be. We came to morning shoot around. We talked about win the shoot around and you win the first quarter. You can't come non-energetic and not fired up and then just expect to turn it on. And unfortunately, I thought we had a good practice Saturday. Thought we had a good shoot around today. But again, when we don't score, that's where I'm trying to help this team again. I keep saying it. We got to climb that mountain. That's that next step that we got to make. Bend but don't break. And when we turn it over 27 times, it's like a heavyweight fight. They just punched us too many times in the face, and we just couldn't get nothing going.
Robbie, go ahead.
You can see the effort there from Jerkayla the last couple of games. She had 8 rebounds again today, and I think had a good game against Ole Miss, rebounded 2, but the shots aren't falling for her. Is it just a matter of, those shots aren't falling? Is there a confidence issue with her from the offensive side of the ball, or what are you seeing from the last couple of games?
No, I see the last 2 games. Jerkayla Jordan doesn't want to lose. When, obviously we start off slow, she's trying to go get it, to your point about the rebounds. She's just trying to find a way to get the ball. And so with that, she is exerting so much energy. And then sometimes the shots, because she doesn't want to lose, she might be playing a little fast, but it's all about effort. She's trying to get after it. She's trying to, give her best punch. But obviously she's got to get some help from her teammates, and we can't do this just a one-man band or one-woman band. It's got to be all of us. Again, we got to look in the mirror and we got to be real with ourselves. But it starts in practice. We got to turn it up, and I keep saying it, we got to get our mojo back. You're not just going to walk in the SEC and just beat somebody. You got to be tough, and we got to get tougher. And it starts with me as the head coach. I got to change the culture, and not the culture, but I got to change the practices, and we got to bring the intensity.
Stefan, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious, what your approach is as a coach, coming off a couple losses like this. Do you, try to flush them and just move on, or do you talk about, hey, a couple big losses, you have a week off, fans are going to have expectations of, how you come out and respond?
Well, I mean, I love that fans have expectations. That means they care. That's why I took this job. I have expectations, my staff and my players who came here. So for us, again, I'm not going to talk about big losses. We got to win each individual step. You win steps, then you win the big picture. Right now, we're just worried about the big picture. And when I'm going to show them again on film is, guys, when we don't score, we get emotional in transition and people are punching us in the face. Ole Miss, I thought we were actually good in the half court, but you gave up 23, 25 points in transition. Tonight was another night where we don't talk, we don't sprint back. And again, our kids want it so bad, but they don't understand when we want it so bad, you can't lose it on the other end when things don't go right for us on one end.